Hello and welcome back to the SuperCoach Corner podcast for another episode here as we have commenced the 2026 SuperCoach season. I'm Tyson, joined alongside me as always is Darcy. Darcy, we've had round one action. SuperCoach is in full swing. The teams are locked in. How do you feel about the first round?
Mate, I forgot how much anxiety SuperCoach brings me. It takes over the whole weekend. The ups and downs of SuperCoach are well and truly here. But like you said, the team's locked away now, so it's not like we can make too many changes like we have been able to do in the last couple of weeks. So I guess that's a little bit of a win. But no, it was good to have footy back and all the games back, which was nice as well. And SuperCoach underway.
Yeah, it was good to have some proper Supercoach. Yeah, Supercoach is underway. That's just the main thing. I'm very excited for the season ahead. Make sure you jump across to all our socials and wherever you can get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, you name it, we're on it. Make sure you drop us a follow and subscribe. Helps us know that you're enjoying the content and we can bring more of stuff like this. Now, obviously, round one has, finished by the time people are listening to this. We are recording right with 5 minutes to go with the Gold Coast game. The teams are locked in. What were the last minute changes that you reckon you made to your final squad?
Heaps. Too many, as always. Tinkering with it up until the bounce of every game, basically. But big one for me was from my last team review, I just didn't trust McKercher. I didn't like that he was training with the mids. I didn't like that. I didn't see him at all in preseason. So I wanted to get rid of him. And to do that to someone that I was happy with, I tinkered with a few things. I really wanted Lockie Ash. So I was eyeing off Lockie Ash and I was short just a couple dollars. So I ended up fading Darcy Parish, which didn't look good early. Didn't end up biting me in the ass too much, but it was looking pretty dire there for a second. Brought in Xavier Lindsay, which was a bit of a left field pick for me. And he started terribly today, but had a 50-point second half and looked really good. So there's some plus sides there, but Lockie Ash was huge. That's probably the main one, mate. Goulden, actually, I was tossed between Goulden and Lockie Neal up until the bounce on Saturday night. Ended up with Lockie Neal just because of the bye. And then I was hating myself the whole game for it until Gordon's shoulder injury. And I thought, I might have dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, I think you might have. We'll get to that further when we get to the Brisbane and Sydney game. But yes, you definitely might have dodged a bullet there. For me, I also didn't like the McKercher news and jumped off him as well. But I didn't have much cash in the bank and I couldn't get up to anyone I really liked in the defence. Because my next pick I wanted was either Lockie Ash or Jordan Clark. Lockie Ash would have just hurt my buys a little bit too much. I think so. I need to try and get Jordan Clark, and that just came at the expense of Cozzy Pickett, which happened to be a decent fade in the end for this round. I still think he's someone that I'm going to bring in, but so it was Cozzy Pickett down to who did I end up going down to? I can't even remember. Oh, Sammy Lawler. I brought Sam Lawler back in because I was pretty hot on him. And then that gave me enough cash to go Kircher up to Jordan Clark. So those are kind of the only two main changes, last minute changes that I did. Now, obviously the round's about to finish. We always go through some champs and chumps. Who really starred for your side this week, Das?
I already gave it away a little bit, mate, but Lockie Ash, someone that I was targeting and really wanted to my side. As a bit of point of difference in the back line, and he was incredible. 136. Like a lot of last minute changes that I do never end up very well for myself, and I end up kicking myself for it. But this was one that I'm pretty happy with, and he was a pleasure to watch on Saturday. What about you, mate?
Yeah, well, mine has to be Noah Anderson. Wearing the captaincy armband. He's currently on 130 and the game hasn't even finished yet. So definitely liking that. He's definitely been the standout for my side, but the other one would have had to have been Christian Petrarca as well. He's on 143. Not wearing the captaincy armband. That's why Noah Anderson got ahead of him. But yeah, that's those two for me. What about some chumps here, Das? I already know who your chump is. My DMs got flooded yesterday during the that 4:40 to 7 o'clock time slot. I'm sure you can attest to why.
Yeah. I mean, look, Zach Butters is lucky as a captain today. I was expecting a lot more, but there was just no avoiding the chump. Andy Brayshaw, Tice, spent up for him, really backed him in. Loved all the numbers in the preseason. Loved everything from him as a point of difference. And he goes and scores 47. That was the hardest watch I've ever watched. It was terrible. It was terrible. So I don't really want to touch on it much more.
That's very fair.
It was so hard. It was so hard to watch.
Yeah, fair. Chump for me, like I could easily just go Philippou, but he copped an injury, so I'm not going to throw Philippou under for that 27. Mine's probably one of my last minute changes for the Jordan Clark 75. You're spending all that money, you want to get more, you want to expect more than 75, especially for the main distributor for Fremantle. I still think he didn't do anything too wrong. He still took kick-ins. He just butchered a little bit, so that really hurted his scoring. So bit annoyed with the 75 there, especially being more of a, I guess, a point of difference. I don't think he's under 10% owned, but yeah, more of a point of difference in the same cookie cutter sides that everyone has this year. So that's just how it goes. Let's get straight into the review here, Das, and we'll touch on each game and all the main players that we should be touching on from a Supercoach point of view. We'll start with Carlton and Richmond. Look, I'm a Richmond man. Everyone's like, oh, you must be really annoyed at Tom Lynch or whatever. I'm really happy with how the Richmond young players sort of played. And it's a good test of the future. And I know that we're not playing wildcard, but yeah, he's like, I don't mind the extra draft pick later in the year. Maybe if that, as much as we should have won the game, I don't mind the higher draft pick. Anyway, that's kind of my little ramble there.
I thought you were really good. And I mean, Blues almost lost it again like they did at the start of last year, but I think you'll challenge a lot of sides this year, which should be good. And there's some Supercoach relevancy as well, which is nice. Carlton had a few guys. I mean, George Hewitt started the season like he did last year, 117 from just 67% time on ground. He was really good. Patrick Cripps sort of proved some of the haters wrong. 114 sort of led from the front for Carlton, which was huge. Jagger Smith is Jagger Smith at this point. Tice, he's just so good and should be locked away in everyone's sides. Sam Walsh just butchered a little bit. He scored 96. He got his hands on the footy a lot. The role's definitely there, attending every CBA basically. It's 87% CBAs and was really, really good. So I wouldn't worry too much. That'll click for him and he'll have big games if he keeps getting his hands on the footy like that and keeps having that role. Ollie Florent, the 81, he still got that role. He butchered the ball a little bit, same with Walsh, but the halfback role's there for him. He's taking kick-outs. It's really good. It's a nice little point of difference guy in that 300k range if you were looking there or you started with him. I wouldn't be against it. I think the role's really good and there's some upside there. From a Richmond point of view, Tice, a couple guys that are really, really important and really highly owned. I'll start with not Jaden Short, but if he'd started with 134 last year, mate, I would have been licking my lips. He'd be my favourite man, but I just can't. I can't watch him ever since he's burnt me too many times. And watching him pull that out, I thought, far out again. Always plays well when he's not in my team, but well. Jack Ross, 102. He looked really good. Playing a lot of inside mid, which is what you want. I know he's eligible as a forward, so it's one to keep an eye on at 65% CBA. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you think that role's there to stay for him, Tice?
Oh, I think it is. They really rate Jack Ross. I know you're a big Jack Ross fan as well, even not being a Richmond man. If that role does stick for most of the year, with that forward eligibility is why we want to, keep an eye on him. Because if he's just going to put out near average to 100, he could really be into the top line of the forwards. I don't think this is going to continue, but just keep an eye on it because he might punch out a few nice scores. And if it does consistently happen and like Jacob Hopper maybe gets pushed out of there with his performance on the weekend. So yeah, it could be one that we have to look at with the forward eligibility because there's not too many in the forward line that we have that we know are going to be top of the line. So you could take a gamble on a player like that. So I don't mind it. But another one that is forward eligible and a lot cheaper is Samuel Lawler with a 75. A lot of people are saying like, oh, you have to kick 2 goals to get to 75. I don't think that that's an issue. He can be damaging up forward and through the midfield. And he even had 65% centre bounce attendances. I'm really happy with what I saw and the role that he had. That's what I bought him for. And to put out a 75, I'm really happy with that. Would you be? Are you annoyed with the 75? Because I know you're an owner.
Yeah, not annoyed. The two goals obviously help, but there's heaps of upside. You gave away 2 free kicks really early, which just hampered his scoring, and he was chasing his tail for pretty much the whole game. Um, you always hate, like following someone and they get off to a slow start. And I feel like with SuperCoach it's always hard to catch up, and he was sort of like that. He was impactful late, but it was sort of too little, too late to carve out a really good score. But yeah, gave away 2 free kicks. I think he had 16 touches, laid 1 tackle. Like there's other upsides that he can find. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried. It's his first full game in the full midfield. He'll warm into that. We know how explosive and damaging he can be. If that's his floor at 75, I'm happy with that at that price. That was the whole point that I wanted to start him, is because at 75 he's making cash for us anyway. So if that's his floor, I expect more from him and some spike games.
Yeah, definitely. And like that's the thing. He averages 75, he's making you 100K. And that's still great scoring to have on field. To have a consistent 75 guy every week is just a big tick. He might be a point of difference, he might not be. He's going to put out some nice games here and there, which is what you want. But yeah, the 75s is what we are asking for as an average to make us that 100K that we bought him for. So he's definitely a tick more than a fail there. Sammy Grill, 73, was just so good. This kid can play. So clean with his disposal efficiency. If you don't have him, get him in your side. He's so safe to play on field. The ball goes through him a lot as well. And Josh Gibcus is another one we might touch on. Scored a 56. I quite liked what I saw. I know you're an owner. Are you happy with how you viewed the game, and then with the score?
I am, yeah, definitely. With my rookies this year, I was really prioritizing job security. I didn't like many of the mid rookies. Like I faded Jack Carroll just because I think there's guys to come back that could take his spot. Um, so I Sammy Grill's on my midfield bench, and I brought in Gibcus over someone like Selwood because I just think Gibcus got to play. He did a few really nice things. So I wouldn't be dropping everything to go and bring him in, like maybe a couple of other rookies that we'll get to, who you should be targeting. But I think it's a really nice, safe option that you can have.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely can't disagree with that. He should have the job security. Nick Flosson is due to come back next week, but I don't think it's going to be at his expense at this point. So let's just keep an eye on that one. But yeah, he should be fine to go. I'll probably not chasing him, but you're not trading him out if you did start him, like you stated. Let's move to the Bombers and the Hawks game, where the Hawks just capitulated them. I'm surprised that this was a Friday night game to start the year, to be honest.
Essendon always get Friday night games for some reason. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. But a big shining light was the guy that was meant to be playing for the opposite team in Zach Merritt, dropping 139. He is a point of difference. Had 68% CBA, so it's not the role we saw in the practice games where of him just sitting up forward. You've got to be targeting him now, don't you?
It hurts, mate. He was in my team for like 75% of the preseason. I just got scared off from that practice match. I don't know. I just thought that with everything going on, maybe they would have played him forward a little bit more. But no, he was incredible and showed he can do it in a team that got smacked as well. So yeah, he's definitely someone that, I mean, everyone should be targeting. No early buy as well, which is huge. Yeah, hopefully that they don't target so I can keep him and have him as a little pod. But no, he's definitely a very, very good option. Darcy Parish-Tice, I mentioned I faded him. Scored 93. He looked really good early. Again, it was a safe pick. Like, you can't go wrong with the Darcy Parish. Yeah, 93, you'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's sort of the same thing that can be said for Sammy Lawler, but it's just that 40K more expensive. So you probably need him to average an 80 or an 85, which I think he can do with the midfield role, and clearly he can do with the 93 that he pushed out. So I'm really surprised that you faded him. Are you looking to try and get him in as a nice player to have through the early buys that doesn't have one? Are you now scrambling to try and get him back in your side?
I won't go to him this week. Honestly, like, I generally think he came up against one of the weaker midfields in the comp. Like, it's not much pressure coming from the Hawks midfield, and he could sort of do what he wanted early on, and he found his way into the game pretty easily. I don't think he'll have it that easy most of the games, and his time on ground was a concern. I don't know. I want to watch it for him a week. They got Port next week. I'll see then, and then target him before the price rise if I'm sold. I was tossing it between fading him and Hayden Young, and I just think Hayden Young has had the ability to hurt me a lot more than Parrish does. So hence why I faded Parrish. I think there's every chance Parrish averages 90, and I might miss out on a couple scores, but I don't think I'm going to get burnt by it. Whereas, I mean, Hayden Young showed in the first half today what he can do, or first half yesterday, sorry, what he can do. And yeah, I didn't want to miss that. So he's on my watch list for sure. I'll look at him. We're at Blackiston Tice. We both started him. Both loved the role. He looked good early, but just gave away heaps of free kicks. I don't have the number in front of me. I do actually. I'm looking right at it. Gave away 5 free kicks. So that hampered his scoring. Had 9 touches. I thought he looked okay. The free kicks just obviously really hurt.
Yeah, look, the free kicks don't help at all. The massive tick that I have for Blackstone is the fact that, well, there's not really someone else to ruck, unless they want to go with Peter Wright as a full-time ruckman. But yeah, he's still got the job security there for now. And yeah, he still attended 59 out of the 90 ruck contests. So that's about, 66% of the ruck contest, which is fine. And the fact he's going up against Lloyd Meek and Ned Reeves, they're both pretty good ruckmen. Like Ned Reeves is huge, and Lloyd Meek is one of the premier ruckmans as we saw last year. So I don't hate what I saw there. I don't think he's a trade out or anything yet. I don't think it's a jump off. He's still got that ruck role. Yes, he does have a tough ruck run to start the year, but he should still be putting out, 70s to 80s. Next week's a good one with Port Adelaide. But after that, I'm pretty sure it gets pretty dicey with Tristan Cherry and Tim English, just to name a couple. So, yeah, we'll see how he goes. I don't think it's a trade out yet at this point. Dyson Sharp, one of the rookies more popular rookies, dropped to 57. It's for a rookie that's 150K, is he one that we need to jump off? Like, he only had 58% of game time. Do you see, there's a lot better rookies elsewhere? There's one that probably we'll get to in last night's game, but yeah, Dyson Sharp at 57. Do you like it?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like, he showed heaps. I thought he did a couple of really nice things, and the job security's there. I started him because of that. He'll get games. The low game time's a little bit alarming, but he'll play games. He'll build into it. Hopefully, get some midfield time as he progresses a little bit. I don't think. Yeah, I expect probably 50s, 60s from him most weeks, which we'll do. But yeah, you're right. Like, at that elevated price, there's a couple of guys that maybe if you missed a Blamiah or something like that, you could go down to him, or a couple of guys we'll get to later that you could make some cash on and get better scoring output. So, yeah, we'll have to see. I don't think I wouldn't be desperate to get rid of him this week. I think you can wait one more week before the price rises and see how we go there. But I think he showed some signs, so I wouldn't be too alarmed by him.
Yeah, you can still wait another week and make the sharp change next week if we have to. So, yeah, Kondo Giannis debuted as well with 51. He looked all right, but I don't think we're jumping to him. We're pretty stacked in the defense, I believe. And Al Ashkar also made his debut for 40, and I think we're pretty stacked in the forward line. So it's kind of the midfield that we're a bit scarce in. And yeah, Sharp was one of those guys.
Is he a mid or
is he?
Is he forward mid?
Almost. No, he's a forward. He's forward only.
Okay, sorry, my bad. Add that out.
We'll move to the Hawthorn side of things. There was a few guys that really got the ton, and that was about it, really. So no one really went above and beyond like Zach Merritt did on the Essendon side of things. But yeah, from Hawthorn, James Sicily scored with a 106 and sort of continued on his form from last week. Is this role actually here to stay and one that we need to jump back on? Like, it's a Sicily of old?
I can't trust it. I can't trust it with how many players they have in that same build. It just might not be his day one day, and I don't want to be stuck in that. So, no, it's not for me.
No, that's fair. I think I'm the same. It's just he could be flipped around at any stage. So it's better to avoid that one. Dylan Moore as a forward eligible, 104. I mean, they pants the Bombers. He got a bit of mid-time, which is nice, but yeah, you need to wait and see what he's doing against some better opposition. Same could be said for Connor McDonald. Did the same role, 103 as well. So yeah, probably an easy miss there. John Newcomb, well, at least miss for now. Sorry. Keep an eye on them as forward eligible players. Make sure that they can do it against the tougher opposition. John Newcomb also dropped to 104. He looks like he might be all right. He didn't score too well last week. We need a bit more consistency from him before we even go there. So just a watch on Newcomb there. Ned Reeves, however, we've briefly touched on him being a tandem ruck with Lloyd Meek. Dropped 104. He's a nice price. Can we even look at Ned Reeves? He only attended 34 out of the 90 ruck contests. So it's a bit more of a split that's favouring Meek, and they both just had over 50% time on ground.
I'd watch it. I'd watch it. It'll be a risky one. He's got the bye in round 3, so watch him this round 2, and then think about it for 2 weeks, and then I don't know. He was so much better than Meek on Friday night, so is there a chance that he could jump over and start getting more of that ruck contest potentially? And then at that price, I think he's at 240k if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that price, is it a gamble you can take it through flex or at R2? Or I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be looking at it now, but just keep an eye on it and see how that sort of that split evens out next week, because I think there's some value there. We always like the number 1 rucks, and with the new ruck rules, he's a very, very tall man who can jump. So there might be a bit, and he went forward and kicked a couple of goals as well, looked dangerous forward. So yeah, there's definitely some upside there. But I think that rounds out the Bombers and Hawks game. Tice. We'll move on to Saturday, and the Bulldogs absolutely pants the Giants. It just showed that they are the form team to start the season, and it was led from the front by their skipper as always. Bond just did Bond things, 33 touches, 3 goals. It was incredible. We know he loves Marvel, but we were a little bit scared off of that role that he had last week, playing a lot forward. Had less than 50% CBAs for I think it was the 6th time since 2020. So barely does that. Was it something that was going to progress throughout the year? Obviously not. Played midfield on the weekend and dominated. So yeah, I think you can just pencil in big scores like this when Bond's playing at Marvel.
Yeah, easily just pencil him in. Like, we know he's so damaging up forward, but didn't think it was going to be to this level if he was going to, sit up forward. But yeah, he went back into that midfield, like you said. 160 SuperCoach. Wow, it's just, if you're scared off not having Bont like I am, like, we need to just get him in somehow. But he's over 700k. It's a lot of money to throw into him. You just got to hope that all the players that you did bring in by saving that 100k by going down to someone else or another premium or whatever are going to make up for the points that Bont did produce. So yeah, it's a bit of a two-sided coin, but yeah, he's definitely someone we need to bring in at some point throughout this year. Tim English, 127, just showed how good he is, and I'm still going to harp on about it. I think this is going to be his year this year. So it looks really, really good, just outrunning all of Briggs and Riccardi who were in there. So yeah, had a field day there. Libba, 126, 47% CBAs, then went to half back. It's actually quite a nice role, to be honest. But, he's one concussion away from retiring or whatever, and I don't think we're going to get this every week, especially for someone that hasn't played a lot of half back. Yeah, Matt Kennedy, 115. Now, is he actually a pod option we can have this year? We actually had him eligible as a forward last year. He was getting that 30 to 40% CBAs. This year, it looks like it's lifted. Had 57% CBAs this week and 66% last week in opening round. Could you actually look there at a pod option?
I think it's just a solid mid only. I wouldn't be looking there. I think there's better options, unfortunately. If he was still a forward, definitely. But yeah, I can't do it as just a mid. I don't think he'll push top 10. Would you look there?
Look, 515k, he doesn't have to push top mid, but I'm not buying a premium midfielder just over 500k if I didn't think that they were going to be a top 10 mid. So yeah, look, if at some point throughout the year he drops below, I don't think he will, because it looks like he's scoring pretty well. Then I'd look there. But yeah, for his price, I wanted to be buying someone that I see pushing top line.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Sam Darcy sort of warmed into the season a bit nicer, scored 99. One to watch, obviously, with his key forward. Hopefully, he drops a couple of lower scores and we can pick him up for a nice price. But yeah, in a big win, sort of expect more from their main guy up forward. So, but you'll take a 99 if you are an owner. Same can be said for Ed Richards. I just had 19 touches, but sort of held a little bit, but scored 90. So if you did pay up for him and know his upside, you'll take that. If that's his floor, you wouldn't be too upset at all. Lucky Jack's Tice had 29 touches, looked absolutely incredible. Off halfback for the Dogs. 80 SuperCoach, obviously didn't translate hugely well. He got heaps of it in the second half when the game was sort of dead, but he's one that everyone should have, and you can pretty much lock him on a field now.
Yeah, look, the reason he has 112 AFL fantasy and only 80 Supercoach is like what you stated. Most of his touches were in the second half. Went at 69% efficiency, so it's not the best thing, but it's not the worst at all. So, definitely like what I saw from Lockie Jackson. Yeah, he should be locked into that side. Easily play him on field, especially when he's kicking it 21 times. I do love that. Bailey Dale, 79, took the most kickouts, but still looks to be injury affected, which, you know, it's one that we can watch when he comes good at some point. So, yeah, just keep an eye on Bailey Dale. Connor Butterick, 73. Look, he might not be as good of a pick with only one kick in. Last week, we saw him take most of the kick ins and be the main distributor because Dale was injured. It looks like Dale's getting better week on week, and he got trusted with the kick ins on Saturday. So, yeah, I don't know. Are you worried at all? I'm not too worried, but I'm not as certain on the Butterick pick.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I think the 105 last week is probably his ceiling. We were never expecting that for his price. The 73, you'll take that as a floor. He scored, I think it was 5 or 6 in the first quarter. So he got off to a really slow start. Then I think he had pretty much 20 in his next 3, 25. Like had solid quarters for the next 3 quarters. So built his way into the game, was just sort of let down with a slow start. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that. The one kick in hurts a little bit, so probably doesn't have that huge ceiling. But he's a good user. They like him back there, so I still think he'll make us good cash in the forward line. Joel Frazier, just a 63. We just got dictates with a midfield role in the preseason as usual with him, and just didn't deliver with just 31 CBA. So would not be looking there. Selwood scored well in his first game, but does sort of play that lockdown defender role. So don't expect huge scores from him. Just a 38. It's disappointing if you started him. Hopefully he keeps his spot and can be a slow burn on your bench. And then Lewis on debut scored just the 18. So yeah, I wouldn't be looking at him as an option. From a Giants point of view, Tice, Lockie Ash sort of touched on him in my champs, but he was really good. 136, had 5 centre bounce attendances in the last quarter. I think they might have all fallen just when they needed something. He was the only player that was giving something out there, and so they just chucked him in there. I think he's sort of, I mean, he showed there that he's one that probably should be in everyone's final defense.
Yeah. I think he's going to finish as a top defender. All the play went through Ash. He just looks so good. Yeah, like you said, it's probably only him and one other guy that we'll touch on in a second that really provided that spark for GWS in this game. Only took the one kick in, which is a little bit frustrating with Whitfield taking 4 and actually Finn Callahan taking 2, which was pretty funny. So, yeah, I mean, we'll move on to Finn Callahan. Took 2 kick-ins, played mostly midfield, which is what you want, but he took no CBAs in that final quarter. It looked like it was just a straight swap for Lockie Ash and Finn Callahan, just a trial, see what they had. The game was already done pretty much. So, yeah, it's just see what they could do. We know that Callahan can provide that run and dash, so maybe what they see, it could be something that they use in the future for future games.
Yeah, I agree. He was so dominant in the first half. They just had to try something in that last quarter, and it didn't work, but it's just another string they can add to his bow. So 120, I think, is huge for Callahan and someone that we should definitely be targeting. Jake Riccardi, 99. He looked good. Took 50% of the ruck contests and just over 50, or just under 60% time on ground. So probably not a huge classic option, but he looks like a pretty decent role and a pretty left field role for someone if you're targeting him in draft. Seems to be producing pretty nice scores. Joe Fonte, Tice, 83, backed up his ton from last week. It's just under 300k. Is that Would you be tempted?
Yeah, it's actually someone that's sort of come onto my radar as a genuine option. Look, I'm probably not changing my team around to go there. I don't think I'm moving Blackston to go there because I prefer the Blackston role. He'd probably be the only one that would make way at this point. But I definitely don't hate the pick. It looks like he's really going to continue that nice form. So, yeah, I, I'm not going there just yet, but he's one like I say keep an eye on. But next week, as soon as he goes up, I think it's just
Yeah.
out of reach and it's not worth it. So if you started him, well done. Looks like he's going to be a great pick for you.
Yeah, you'd have to go this week if you wanted it. And again, if Blackiston failed, you could look at it next week, but then it's just too late. So I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't be changing a structure to bring him in. I'm happy just to watch and be an admirer of Joe Fonte because he is a classy footballer. Lucky Whitfield scored 70. I don't think it's a huge issue. He had 25 touches, like you said, took the kick-ins. It just didn't translate well to Supercoach. They got buttered. He didn't kick the ball all that well. So, yeah, I still think he'll be a top liner. It was just a bad game for Giants.
Yeah, it was a bad game for the Giants. A lot of the plays still went through Whitfield. It was kind of from Whitfield to Ash, and then they'd move forward. So I did like how they were still using him. I'm surprised it was only a 70, to be honest. I thought it would have been a bit more than that. So from what I saw in this game, Clayton Oliver scored a 69. Look, the roles there, if you did start with him, I wouldn't be jumping off him. He's still only 500k, and yeah, attending the most CBAs. He's got to be that in and under bull. He did have 26 touches as well. So I did like what I saw there. I'm surprised it was only 69, but they did get belted by 81 points. You got to remember. So a lot of points have to go to the Bulldogs side. Toby Green scored a 62. Only took 78% of the CBAs, and for only a 62. I know you're pretty hot on this pick. Looked like he just butchered it. Is that the case of Toby Green in this game?
Yeah, I didn't use it that well. I had 4 free kicks against as well. So just did a few silly things in classic Toby fashion. I still like the pick. I mean, at 80% CBA for Toby Green, I think there's huge upside there. They're not going to get belted by 80 points every week. So I like it. A couple other guys, Tyson, have sort of taken a hit to their CBAs from what we were looking at in the preseason. Cog scored 60 from just 22% and Rouston 45 from just 31% CBAs. If you started either of those, would you be worried? Would you try and trade them out now, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think I'd jump off both of them if you started either of them. Like, Canelio was so good last week, but he did it with no midfield time, and it was purely off the half forward. I think it was just a flukish game last week. Like, obviously, he's a classy player, looks fit as ever, but yeah, he did it with no midfield time, so it was never going to be consistent. Now that he's only getting a few CBAs, and yeah, I'm not liking that role. Same could be said for Rouston. He was pure mid. He would be one that I would have more likely started last week, but then he's dropped down to only 30% CBAs and put out a 45. So I'd jump off both, to be honest. There's a few decent options you could jump to. You clearly, if you did start one of them, you're clearly fading someone else like a Parrish or a Young. See if you can maneuver away and get to them. Yeah, I think I'd just jump off both.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think I'm probably in the same boat. They don't have the upside of some of the other guys you can get for that price. But that sort of sums up that game, Tice, the Doggies and the Giants. We'll move across to the Twilight game from the Cats and the Dockers. And it was a really good game of footy. For most people, for me, it was an eyesore, and it was one of the games I just want to erase my memory. But we'll get to that in a second. We'll start from the Cats side of things. And Max Holmes, honestly, it's easy to say in hindsight, Tice, but I was genuinely looking at him instead of the guy that I ended with, and I was 100 points worse off. I think people, it's a classic case of loses the DVP or loses the defensive eligibility in this case, and people look past him, and he just goes and dominates. We know how much he loves GMHBA, and he showed that in the weekend. So yeah, I think I just wanted to highlight. I think he's a great pod, one that's flying under the radar, and if you can find a way to bring him in, I really like the pick.
Yeah, the only thing is that if you are bringing him in, you've got to really see how the buys work out for you. Being the fact that they've got the buy next week, so you may as well just wait a week on
Not
him.
too bad. Yeah.
So, yeah, you can wait another week on him if you are very keen on Maxi Holmes. He is only in 2.4% of sides, but just looked really, really good. He is at that 600K price tag on the nose. So, yeah, he could easily be top of the line. It is a case of, yes, he lost his defensive status. Let's jump off him and not start him this year. But, yeah, he's an option. Tom Stewart, however, always starts the year on fire, seems to rope a few people in and then get injured at some point. Do you think it's that sort of case this year? It scored 133 on Saturday afternoon. I really did like what I saw there.
Yeah, as a Tom Stewart game, he was really, really good. I think his days of being a top line Supercoach defender are over, though. So I wouldn't be rushing to bring him in. And I think you might, just because you need to bring Tom Stewart in your team at some point throughout every year. So who knows? Maybe this week, just give him a 1 week spell. But no, I wouldn't be looking there.
That's fair. He did take 7 kick-ins. The kick-ins are really, tying me in here. So
I reckon Ben Miller did as well. I wouldn't be bringing in Ben Miller. So
That's fair. That's fair. Bailey Smith just did Bailey Smith things. 118, 31 disposals. I am truly a believer that he is a top line midfielder and one that I'm going to target at some point throughout the year. And the fact that he's got that low score from opening round in his rolling average means I'm only going to hurt his price rise for 1 week. So it's a little bit annoying there, but he's one I'm targeting and truly see as a top liner. Tanner Bruin, 110. This is huge for that 270K price tag that we has on him. 30% CBAs. I don't even care if he's. We were chatting a fair bit during the game on this when he was playing a bit of midfield. I don't mind that he's playing midfield at his price. If he was a bit more expensive, I wouldn't have liked it. We just prefer the halfback role because he provides that great dash and carry and distribution for the Geelong Cats. And yeah, it was only 30% CBAs for the first few quarters and then just none in the last. And still did it with 63% time on ground. So as soon as that time on ground increases, as he gets back into match fitness, I think we're only going to see better scores.
Yeah, he's 100% a must-have now at this point. He's shown so much. So if you didn't start him, make sure you bring him in. But he's shown obviously last week in the Pracky match that he can do it off halfback, and then showing glimpses on the weekend that he's just as damaging in the midfield as well. So I wouldn't be too worried about the role. Just bring him in and watch the cash flow in, and I think he's one that we can keep around for a long time, which is good. Obviously not this week. Wait a week after his bye if you haven't got him, but yeah, grab him up then. Couple to finish off the Geelong side of things. So Graham Myers, 108, looked good again. He's sort of one that always flies under the radar a little bit. Just watch him. I wouldn't be going out of your way to bring him in. And then Edwards made his debut. Only took about half the ruck contests, which I was sort of expecting. He was floated there as an option for the R3, but I think both you and I didn't go there in the end just because of the no DVP and the job security is not huge. So if you went there, hopefully you just keeps your spot and you'll be a slow burn on your bench. But that sums up the Geelong side of things. We'll move across to Freo, and one guy really stood out, especially in that last quarter task. Caleb Sarong, 80-point final term, scored 150. He was so good and so much better than his counterpart in the midfield. I don't know why I didn't just save myself 70 or 4, I think it was 40K and go Sarong because he was incredible.
We said a lot through the preseason that Sarong is probably underpriced because he was tagged throughout the start of last year and he still put out hundreds. So we did think he was underpriced. And then, I don't know, the last couple of weeks, as we delved deeper into Andy Brayshaw and his consistency over the last few years, we both sort of lent that way. I ended up fading both of them. And you obviously went to Brayshaw, as you've noted already. So, yeah, we should have just backed in the early preseason, gut feel and gone with Sarong. Then we would have been reaping the rewards here today. But, yeah, he was phenomenal in that last quarter. Really brought the game back into, obviously Geelong came back and won the game, but Sarong was the real shining light in terms of why it wasn't a blowout in the end because Geelong were really, really good in that last quarter. So, just hurts that we didn't start him. And definitely one we should be targeting at some point. I think he's a genuine contender for a top of the line. Luke Jackson, 142. A lot of people did start Luke Jackson. It was sort of the three main ruckmen were Luke Jackson, Tim English, and Brodie Grundy for us. So and he delivered. He actually had over half the ruck contests. Attended more ruck contests than Sean Darcy, I'm pretty sure, unless I've got my numbers wrong. No, that is correct. He attended 50 of the 89 ruck contests, which is massive. 65% CBAs. Whenever he wasn't in the ruck, he was playing as a genuine midfielder or on the pine. So really liked what I saw from Luke Jackson there.
Yeah, it's a really good role. He attended a lot more ruck contests than I thought he would. So, yeah, big game from him. Good goals as well. It looks like he will be. I mean, obviously coming up against Mitch Edwards is always going to be a nicer contest, but he will be a top liner. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. Now, and I think that's probably why a lot of us started McAndrew at R2, just to get a look and make sure that, this split is going to work out well for Jackson. It looks like it will. So just have to find a way to bring him into our side at some point. So, yeah, he was really good.
Yeah, just a little thing on the Jackson one is that Sean Darcy only played 45% of time on ground. Whenever he was on the ground, he was the ruckman because that's kind of his only attribute to the Fremantle side. Maybe they're going to continue with that moving forward, but he has come back from an injury, so maybe they were just easing Sean Darcy back into it. So keep an eye on it next week before you end up, maneuvering your side around if you're set on grabbing Luke Jackson again. So that's probably my only caveat there.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. Murphy Reid scored 89, had 41% CBA, so it's a nice little role he's got, pushing the midfield, then going forward and kicking a couple goals. Keep an eye on it. We know how talented he is, so could he push top 8 forward with that role? If he keeps the 40% CBAs, I generally think he could. So let's hope that split stays the way it is, and we can target him later in the year. Hayden Young looked really, really good early. I'd love to get his numbers up, but started the game like a house on fire. Just was so quiet. As the game progressed, and I think, he got minus 10 SuperCoach in that last quarter. I'm just looking at it now. So, it was on 90 at 3/4 time, finished on 80. So it hurts, but it was positive signs, and I think you can only take good things from it at his price.
Yeah, just looked really, really classy through that first 3 quarters, and you can see why he was on 90 at 3/4 time, and then that last quarter really let him down. But positive signs from Hayden Young there. Jordan Clark scored a 75, as I've already stated. He took 6 kick-ins, and he had the role. Only had the 19 disposals, so he just couldn't find the footy as much as usual. Usually he's around that 25 disposal mark, so I don't hate what I'm seeing there still. Shea Bolton, 68. We're just not going there just yet. Yes, he's eligible as forward, and we're pretty light on there. We're just not picking him just yet until he brings more consistency or gets more centre bounces. Sean Darcy, we've already touched on. He only got a 56. But just keep an eye on him because he only spent 45% time on ground. He could be very cheap ruck option if he's going to then come back and, be a main ruck and really get more time on ground. And then Andy Brayshaw, Das, 47. I can't believe a guy that had 45% time on ground compared to this guy who had 82% CBAs still scored less than him. So, you started him. Are you jumping off him?
Yeah, and then we had the Swans and the Lions on Saturday night, so they kicked off our games on Saturday. No, not. I don't know, mate. I'm gonna have to think about it. He was a hard watch, Brayshaw. The role is definitely not the question. I'm kind of happy they'd lost, and hopefully they can light a little bit of a fire underneath him because it was, as someone who's a leader at that club, it was so hard to watch, Tice. I don't have anything to say. I'll probably give him another week because I'm a big don't trade your premiums guy, but it was hard. I don't know what to say. It was the hardest watch of my SuperCoach career.
I think the role's still there. Like you can't be jumping off Andy Brayshaw. I don't think you picked him for a reason.
We talked about last year, and it was a big trend in his games. He really dominated at Optus and at the G. He loves a big ground where he can run. GMHBA is really skinny and it's a small ground. I think that's why Sarong sort of dominated, because he loves it in tight where he can break away from contests, whereas Brayshaw likes the space. He was always going to struggle at GMHBA. I wasn't expecting a 47. Would have been happy with an 80 or a 90, but I'm hoping that's what I'm telling myself at least. And fingers crossed, back at Optus next week, he can lift a little bit and give me something to hold on to. But yeah, it was a hard watch. If I've said that for the 8th time, but no, we will move on to the next game now, which was the Swans and the Lions, and a few big headlines out of this one's Tice. I'll jump from the top of the Swans. Nick Blakey, I have been so hot on him all preseason. Has been in and out of my side. Didn't start with him, but I generally think he will push top of the line. He is a star. They use him all the time. He goes 40, kicks goals off halfback consistently. Yeah, I love it. I think it's a really good buy.
Yeah, 1.7% of teams. He's definitely a pod. Yeah, just 548k as well. Yeah, it's a good buy if he's going to produce this scoring. And yeah, a lot of play goes through him. Looks like Sydney are really using their halfbacks this year, so it's good to see. To say that Mills and Blakey didn't score too well last week, so it was a good fade based on last week's scoring, even though it didn't count. Now it's a good buy. So you gotta really pick your battles there. But I did like what I saw from Nick Blakey, and he could easily be top of the line, like you were saying. Riley Bice, 114. Is he a genuine option at his price?
I wouldn't be looking there. I don't know. I just think he showed at the start when he came into the side last year how good he can be, but he went pretty quiet pretty quickly. So I'm sort of turned off by that. But we know how good he is with ball in hand. He's a great kick. So he only took the 2 kick out, so he has to find his footy elsewhere. But if he can keep doing that, I think he can make some decent cash.
Yeah, he definitely fell out of favour of that Sydney side at one point during the year last year as the main distributor. So yeah, I wouldn't go there. I don't think it's too risky to do. Errol Goulden, a big talking point, which you raised at the start, 112, only had the 35% CBAs. And I don't think you could say it was due to the injury, because the injury was pretty late in the game and it looked pretty bad. Popped his shoulder out. He has changed his profile picture on Instagram. I don't know if anyone's seen that from SuperCoach Scout. But yeah, it's a very sad face. So
no.
It's head in hands kind of stuff. I'm not sure that he's going to be back super quick, but we just have to wait and see on the reports. I wouldn't go trading him just yet. If he's playing next week, yes, he might be a little bit hampered and you might not get the best score, but just keep an eye on the injury reports.
Yeah, keep an eye on it. From more reports I've heard, whispers of surgery, looking at surgery. So normally a first shoulder dislocation is a pretty big one. And they have to, once you've done it once and it happens a couple more times, they can usually get him back pretty quickly, but the first one's usually pretty big. So fingers crossed he doesn't spend too much time on the sidelines. And something we didn't touch on at the top of the show, so we will do 2 episodes a week to start the season. So later this week, we'll hopefully have some more information and we can look at what to do with him there. Fingers crossed it's a 2 or 3 week injury and he has the buy in there and you can potentially hold him through that. But I think early signs are saying that it's probably a trade. But yeah, we'll wait and see with Goulden. Cal Mills scored 100 Tice, like you said, bounced back from last week. I think that's sort of what we expect from Cal Mills, and he was the general back there and played really well. Isaac Heaney scored 97. He looked good early and then took no further part in the last quarter. It said hamstring awareness. I think they were up by too much. They didn't bother. So I wouldn't be too worried with Heaney's low time on ground, or he didn't play much in that last quarter. They pulled him. I think it was more precautionary. Justin McInerney backed up his huge game from last week with a 90 today. Is he an option, Tice, that you could look at? Forward eligible, I believe. Seems to be playing that wing half forward sort of role.
Yeah, he's definitely forward eligible. Last week he played a lot more of that forward time. This week he actually got a few centre bounces. So yeah, he was actually tied centre bounce attendances with Isaac Heaney. So yeah, the role continues. He might be a good forward option. I don't think you have to go jump on him now at 476k. You could. I'm happy to wait a bit more and spend up if that role is going to continue as a forward option. So I'm happy to wait on McInerney there. Brody Grundy, 89. I wouldn't be too worried if you don't have him. He's definitely going to be a top of the line ruckman and looked really good. Chad Warner, 68 from 42% CBAs. He might become forward eligible later on in the year. Just a down game for him, so I wouldn't be too worried there. And we know how much he can break open games, so I really do like that. That option if he's going to drop in price. Jai Sarong, 54, just going to be a slow burn. I think he might have the odd game here and there where he goes up and drops an 80 like he did last week. I do like the 54 scoring still. He's still going to provide us some nice cash and still safe play on field. I think there's some better defensive options, to be honest, like a Lockie Jacks and Josh Lindsay. Malcolm Roses dropped to 50 as well. If you ended up going there, he's still been a decent option, but I wouldn't be jumping on him if you didn't. Let's look at the Brisbane side of things. Dane Zorko dropped 102. I do think he's going to be top of the line just because all the play is still going through him. I know you hate Zorko. Do you think he's going to be top of the line at all?
Nah. Useless, mate.
I
don't think. I mean, yeah. He's got the role, and he plays Bruce free footy, and he's a good kick. So he could, if he stays in the park, and Brisbane pick up their form a little bit because they have been bad the first 2 weeks. So, he could potentially push there, but I wouldn't be looking at him to trade him in anytime soon. Josh Dunkley scored 101. That's pretty much a Dunkley score. If you could have predicted that before the game, so exactly what you'd expect from him. Lockie Neal, 93. I thought he looked good in a team that got beaten pretty badly. So I still like the pick. I'm still happy with it, mainly because Goulden got injured and I managed to dodge that bullet. So that's nice. Will Ashcroft, it seems to be a bit of a trend that he just really can't stand up when the team's getting beaten. And struggles against the better side. So just the 64, had a good role with 65% CBAs, but I don't think he's that upper end of midfielders yet. So if you were picking him and expecting him to be there, it looks like he hasn't quite got there yet. Zaka Steletsky, I think that's better than my pronunciation last week, but still not great. 62, plays a key defensive post with no Harris Andrews and no Darcy Gardner. At R3, defensive ruck forward, defensive ruck swing. It was a great R3 selection. I think it was the best one we had in the end. We both went there just because of the DPP. And looks like he has decent job security, whether that be in the ruck or down back. Hopefully he keeps his spot until Harris Andrews comes back and he doesn't get kicked out when Darcy Gardner's back next week. But we'll just have to wait and see there. Kitty Coleman, just a 50 Tice. Is he even an option? He just isn't scoring very well.
I still like what I saw. A 50 is not great, but keep in mind that he is only 230k. He's still one of the distributors for him in the back line. He was definitely pure back. I still like what I saw there. I know. Did you end up being an owner in the end? And were you happy with the role you at least saw?
No, I wasn't an owner. I watched the Collingwood games. I didn't catch much of the Swans and Lions much. I didn't really see his role particularly. He had a bit of the footy. I do expect him to grow, and obviously hasn't played a lot of footy for a long time. So I expect him to sort of build into it. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see with that, I guess. And fingers crossed, he can build into what we know he can be. Dan Annable made his debut. Tice scored 40, had 60% time on ground. They just got beaten up, so it would have always be hard for a young kid. And Sam Draper, just the 26, one to really keep an eye on. Obviously warming into it after injury in the off season. If we can drop a little bit more price, we could look at him as that forward ruck swing potentially in a month's time or something. It could be something to look at. But yep, that sums up the Swans and Lions game. We'll go to the Pies and Adelaide. Tyson, yeah, Pies was soundly beaten, but one guy from the top of the Collingwood list who I really want to talk on is Dan Houston. I generally think that everyone should be looking at him after the bye. I think he's back to his best. I think his role is exactly what you want. He looks clean. We're taking everything through him. At 440k or 433k, I think it is. I really think there's huge upside there.
Yeah, I think there's huge upside as well now. I had to see it another week before I believed it, with the fact that he had to share the backline with Josh Dacos. Um, yeah, I think that he now with Josh Dacos playing a bit more midfield time, I quite like. He's definitely yeah, Houston looks like he's going to get a lot of the ball and be the main guy they use moving forward. So yeah, I quite like it and might be one we have to target. They are on the bye this week, so we can wait on that. If I'm not mistaken. So yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
Nick Dacos, 126. It's not the matter of do we get him or whatever. It's just when do you get him? You have to try and time it perfectly, and he's just going to go up in price at this point. So 620k could be the cheapest you get him for a champion like that. He just looks phenomenal.
Yeah, he was really good and kicking goals and yeah, doing everything you want from Nick Dacos. So some of us, Tice, or majority of us started him. So the question is, when can you get him? And I guess we'll just have to leave that up to you, mate. But no, he was really, really good. And I think, like you said, everyone should have him in their side come the end of the year. Josh Dacos scored 94, played majority half back, a bit in the midfield in the second half to change things up a little bit. The role split's not too bad. It probably helps Houston even more. The fact that he is going into the midfield a little bit, and Houston's getting a lot of the kick in. So yeah, that's definitely a plus for him. Darcy Cameron scored 86. I think he got soundly beaten in the ruck most of the day from two guys who played one combined game. So disappointing from a Collingwood side of things, but not a terrible score Supercoach wise. Jordan DeGoey just a 56, only 19% CBA's Tice. If you started him thinking that he would be, a main midfield guy, they've got the bye this week. Do you just cut your losses?
Yeah, I think you just cut your losses and trade him, especially on this bye this week. It's not the role that you wanted, and yeah, he's not producing the big scores that you want to see. So, yes, we were big advocates for it. If he had the midfield role, he just doesn't have it. So jump
Yeah.
off him while you can. Let's move to the Adelaide side of things, and Malera. Wayne Malera, 142, really dominated this game. Is he now the main distributor?
Could be. He could be the guy that takes most of the kicks ahead of Rory Laird, potentially. He's always had the ability to. I think he's always been a really good user and someone that they should use more. And I think it was only a matter of time until he broke out and really took that next step. Hopefully, it was today or yesterday, and he can build on that. But yeah, at this stage, it's we'll just have to wait and see. And I'll just watch him. I wouldn't be jumping on him now, but I think he's a really good player.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Josh Worrell, 116. There's a bit of talk around this pick now. The fact that, a few players have gone down for Adelaide, and he could genuinely be a top of the line option. He is at 1.4% owned, but he's at 487k. So provided some nice scoring last year, which is why you have to pay the hefty price tag. But I don't think I'm going there for his kind of role at the moment. He's kind of playing that key defense intercepting as well. So yeah, I don't think I'm going there with Josh Worrell. Braden Cook, 92, a mid forward. Is he now a must have at his price?
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily need to go and grab him now, but I think that I don't see a world in which he won't be. He's obviously got one game until he goes up in price. Because he's a mid forward, it's great flexibility, but we've got really good on-field rookies for both of those positions. So if I trade him in this week and I had to, I wouldn't necessarily field him anyway. So I think you just wait a week, see what he does next week, and then bring him in when you need to. But yeah, I wouldn't be jumping on it now, but he will be. At scoring a 92 in his price cycle, he'll make some good cash for us.
Yeah, he could be one that you flip sharp to be honest. And he could be one that I do this week as well. I really liked what I saw there. And the fact that he's got that wing on lock for a while, until Dan Curtin's really back. I don't think Chase Jones really going to push into that side now after that performance we saw from Cook on the weekend. So I quite like what I saw.
Are you fielding him? Would you field Cook over Sharp? Like, you're not fielding Sharp, so you're not going to field Cook. My point is, like, could you just wait a week?
Yeah, that's fair. I could easily wait a week, but I feel
then
like
Sharp
next
could
week,
score 90 and Cook scored 40, and then you're like, oh, why don't I just I think you're better off just waiting a week, unless you've got 2 trades or 3 trades that you're desperate to make next week, and then you just want the extra trade in your sleeve and get rid of one this week potentially. But yeah, I think it doesn't hurt to wait a week. No one's Sharp's not going up in price, or neither's Cook.
yeah, I think that was the point I was going to raise is the fact that I need to flirt with what I might want to do next week, just based on what we have this week. So, because I feel like next week's the big week that you want to really have everyone locked in before you see a lot of price rises, and people coming off the buy as well, like the Collingwood, Geelong, all them. So it's quite. I need to weigh up before I grab Cook, and he might be one I just have to grab next week. So, yeah, that's what I've got to weigh up, and I think everyone needs to weigh up there. Jordan Dawson, 91, just did Dawson things. Wouldn't be annoyed at that if I did select him. He sometimes has these lower disposal games, but he's still a great user of the footy, so that's why he can still produce some nice scores with 21 disposals. Lockie McAndrew dropped an 88, being the main ruckman for Adelaide. I think you just need to get him on field if he is your R3, and you need to manipulate, maneuver some stuff in your side to get him in your flex if you've started the two ruckman. So you just trade someone else and try and maneuver everything around, whether you've got a Xavier Lindsay in your flex like you do, Das. Trade someone in your midfield, put him in your midfield and get McAndrew on field. So I think you just need him on field. He's too good to have at sitting R3. Josh Rochelle, 88, had 52% CBAs. He was really good and could be one that shoots up the forward rankings this year if that role is going to continue, but we'll just wait and see when Isaac Rankin is back next week how that goes. I wouldn't be jumping on Rochelle just yet. And then Bond is another rookie that we were looking at, but only producing the 50 at that price of 167k. I think it's easier to fade him in the defense line. So let's move to the Sunday games where we'll start with North just obliterating the Power by 46 points. It was good to see. It looks like North might be actually pushing up that ladder after 6 long seasons down the bottom. So it's very nice to see at this point. Luke Parker dropped 137 in a half-back role, took 3 kick-ins. Is he one that we can actually look at if this role persists? It looks like he's got McKercher's role.
Yeah, I don't know if like easing McKercher in. Kicked a goal, which I don't know, potentially went under 100% disposal efficiency as well, which is huge for that halfback role. So one to keep an eye on. We know he's also super flexible, so he could move into the midfield. He could go to half forward. There's always that sort of threat hanging over his head. So unless we were 100% certain, I probably wouldn't be super confident in picking him.
Yeah, mid only at 476k. It's probably easier to avoid him. Like we were probably hotter on Windhager than we were on Luke Parker. So, you can wait and see on that one. It looks like he might be taking that McKercher role, who we'll get to in a second. Dylan Stevens, 135, really produced one of those games that he was touted to produce, being a top end draft pick, but that was all purely from the wing, and it's not going to happen every week. I understand he's going to be a bit cheaper. Might be an okay draft option, but I wouldn't be looking at him in Classic. I mean, 327k if he's going to somehow put the consistency together. But yeah, I'm not spending 327k on a wing role. So he's an easy fate there. Harry Sheasel, 134, just did Sheasel things, 63% CBAs. That's the role we bought. Definitely happy buying there. Tristan Cherry, 128, was up against really nobody. It was up against Vicentini. So not a genuine ruckman, or top of the line ruckman. So he was always going to have a field day there. Is he someone that we need to now look at as a top end ruckman? Well,
he was always going to be like top 5. He didn't look too impeded by like the ruck brothers. Still tackled hard and won some of his own clearances at times. I don't know. They won and he scored 128. Like I feel like last year that would have been 150, 160 from Sherry, and against someone like a Dante Vicentini, like he would have go huge. Like I'm worried that's maybe his ceiling, and that was the points that we're talking about in the preseason. So he's got he had one of the easiest ruck matchups today and scored huge, but is that as big as it gets? I'd rather wait and see before I'd go chasing him, especially at that price. Charlie Compkins scored 118. He looked really good. He's shown this at times across halfback, takes really good contested marks and can produce good Supercoach scores. I wouldn't be going there in Classic, but we know how good he can be with his hands. LDU, I thought, was stiff with his score. He scored 104, but he looked incredible and just drove a lot of North scoring. I had 3 free kicks again, so I think that potentially is the reason why it was hampered a little bit. But he looked really good in their midfield and was definitely one of their better players. Finn O'Sullivan, Tice, someone that I was very, very close to starting over Xavier Lindsay, had 87% CBA, so he's made that switch in the midfield and had just 15 touches, but he's a classy footballer. And when he gets it, he does link it with it. Scored 85 Supercoach. Just over 300k defensive, defender mid. I don't know. It's someone to keep an eye on. Let's see how he goes next week. I don't hate it. There is a lot of options around that price.
Yeah, defensive mid swing is nice as well. Definitely gives you that nice flexibility there. Look, we're talking very heavily on the Xavier Lindsay or Finn O'Sullivan pick. I was definitely leaning Xavier Lindsay, but I did like what I saw in this game from Finn O'Sullivan. And like you said, yes, very classy footballer. 85 Supercoach from 15 touches. Well, what's he going to do when he gets 20 or 25? So, he's definitely been a good starter and one to keep an eye on next week before we might even have to pull the trigger on him if he's going to rack 20 disposals and drop 100. So we'll wait and see on the Finn O'Sullivan pick. Blamirez made his debut, dropped to 70, 99k rookie, 23 disposals off that halfback. Really nice option to have on your bench. You could even field him if you're really that light on in the midfield, but I don't think anyone is at this point. But he's a fieldable option with that halfback role. You could easily maneuver something around it and get Blamirez on field, but he's definitely going to make us a lot of cash. Colby McKercher dropped a 60, had 30% CBAs, then just drifted forward. We were worried about this, and it looks like it's really come to fruition from that training sort of report. Are we just not on this Colby McKercher pick anymore? Do you have to jump off him if you did start him?
I'd give him one more week. I don't like, just because I think the upside's so. If you started him, I think the upside's so large. I'm just trying to see how many people started him, but I think the upside's so large that you may as well give him one more week and just see. But yeah, I'd be worried. He was in 16% of teams, so obviously that's a huge drop from what he was in at one point. But give him one more week for me. I think just hope he gets that halfback roll back. But yeah, if it's the same next week, then jump off.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Look, he might get it back next week, and maybe it was just, I don't know, easing him into it, but then he was thrown in the centre bounces, so I'm not sure if that's easing him into it after the broken finger. I thought that halfback role might have been easier for him, but anyway, we'll see how that unfolds next week. Lockie Dobson also debuted in this game, 136k forward, only dropped to 42. We saw the heights that he can get to in that practice game against the Pies, where he looked really classy and dropped that 99, I believe it was. So if you did start him, I wouldn't... You should have started him knowing that he is a small forward, and I wouldn't jump off him just yet. You could easily wait another week, especially due to the fact I'm pretty sure they've got West Coast next week. They do. So the West Coast is their next matchup, so there could be some great scoring there, and then Essendon after that. So they do have a favourable run in the next couple of weeks. So he might cash in there. Let's move to the Port side of things, where we've got Connor Rozee, the only guy that topped off the scoring. Well, the guy that topped off the scoring for Port that only went over 100, dropped 105, had 57% CBAs. We were sort of buying for that half-back role, but if he did go in the midfield, weren't too worried. Do you not like him as much of a pick now that he's looking to be more midfield again this year?
Nah, I'm not too stressed. He's a classy midfielder, and we'll get him in the defensive line anyway. So I'm more worried if Port are getting beaten by 50 points by North Melbourne, then if they're getting beaten, they'll just get beaten by every week, and it's not going to be good scoring for the likes of Rozee and Butters. So that's a little bit alarming. I hope they can pick up their game a little bit, but no, the role itself, it's not too much of a worry for me. Zach Butters, Tice, just 94. Sort of got tagged out of it a little bit by Finn O'Sullivan, who ran with him in that midfield when they were at stoppages. So, he's always been a little bit susceptible to a tag. So keep an eye on it. 94 is not terrible, but I think it was about a third of the competition end up captaining Butters, hoping for a bigger score, which he didn't deliver, unfortunately, when people like yourself put the captain on Noah Anderson, who went big. So, yeah, it's tough to see. Todd Marshall looked really, really good. Was the forward rookie that we picked and we loved, and then he went down, I think, in the last quarter with an ankle injury. I haven't heard any news. I don't know if you have, Tice, but definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, to keep an eye on it, I haven't heard anything more than the fact it was an ankle injury. Bit of a concern since he hasn't played a lot of footy. He missed all last year with the Achilles and a bit of the year before as well. So just keep an eye on the reports on Todd Marshall. Here's that bit of the elevated price. Maybe it's a nice little segue to Cook if he is out for a while. So, yeah, just keep an eye on the reports on him. Dante Vicentini is the main ruckman for Port Adelaide, dropped to 62. We're not looking there. He might even lose his spot. So, but he was coming up against one of the premier ruckmen, so just don't need to look there for him. Miles Bergman, 56, had 33% CBAs, where we thought maybe he was going to get more than that and be a main midfielder. But yeah, he's not really an option in his current role. Jason Horne-Francis, 27% CBAs. That's even worse when he's meant to be one of the premium midfielders of the competition, in the years to come. So maybe he's gettable as a forward because he really rested forward. Maybe it's just the fact that it's a North Melbourne matchup and every time he got the ball, he got booed. So it was pretty funny to see there. Just keep an eye on that with the fact we might get forward eligibility and might be super cheap. So just keep an eye there. And then the debutant, Jack Watkins, 99K mid only, had 13% CBAs, so definitely not as many as he had in the practice game. I think they were just seeing what they had with him in the practice game. Just wait on this guy. You can afford to wait one more week. And then in round 3, Ollie Wines is available. He could lose his spot to Ollie Wines. So I wouldn't be jumping on Watkins, especially because we had another 99K rookie go very well today. So, which we will get to in the final game. Let's move to the D's and the Saints game here, Das. And it was a very high scoring affair. And it looks like this is how the AFL really wants this to go. And yes, as it states on the screen, the stats were unavailable for nearly all the first half. So some of these stats are a bit skewed, but the SuperCoach points are very relevant in this game. What did you see here from the Melbourne side of things?
Yeah, a few big scores. I mean, Max Gawn was incredible. I think there seems to be a bit of a drop in ruck scoring ties. I think he was one of the better players on the ground, and I think similar to Tristan Sherry, just didn't translate to Supercoach scoring as much as it has in years gone by. I don't know if that's gonna be a trend throughout the year. Just something that I've noticed early on. So I don't know. Keep watching that. I don't know if rucks will be as big. I don't think they'll go as big, especially like someone like Gawn. I don't know. Like he was really, really good today. 122. You won't knock it at all, but I think it probably deserved more and it would have gotten more maybe in years gone by. He was really good. Jack Steele scored 92 against his former side. He looked good. He said in post-match that he was a bit shook and sort of in his own head a little bit throughout the game. So who knows? That's his flaw. If he can build on that, that's always good if you did start him as that sort of point of difference value option in the midfield. Cozzy scored 74. He did get tagged. He had Windhager running with him at the start, which is random. And then, I don't know, he just had people with him throughout the day. So I wouldn't be too worried. He had a lot going on throughout the week. And to better show up and, attend 67% CBAs. And I still think he did a lot of really good things. So I wouldn't be worried about Cozzy at all. I still think he's someone that will target to finish our forward lines at some stage. Xavier Lindsay, like I said, started really slow, but built into the game, scored 71. As a 270k midfielder, if you were looking there, I think there was a lot of upside. So just keep an eye on. Hopefully, he keeps that rolling. Keeps continuing from what he did in that second half because that was really good stuff. Caleb Windsor, I thought looked really good on the eye. Looked really, really nice. Had 21 touches, provided a bit of dash, kicked a nice goal. Just a 70 Supercoach. I thought that was a bit stiff, but the role was there. So I wouldn't be too alarmed if you did start him. It's not a great score, but I think he can definitely build on that.
Yeah, 57% CBAs is the role that we want for Caleb Windsor. And obviously the stats are a little bit skewed. I think it might have been a little bit more than that, which we will see in the days to come. But yeah, I liked what I saw there if you did start him. Trent Rivers, however, 55, had the 44% CBAs and only the 58% time on ground, which was a little bit concerning. It's not what you want for a guy that you're spending over 400k for as a genuine midfield option. So yeah, I'd be very worried if I did start him. Would you jump off him if you did start?
Potentially, yeah. I'd be giving another week, I think. Just because, yeah, I'd rather another look at it. But also, Melbourne's not going to win every game. They're not going to score this well every game. Like, had a lot of opportunities to get involved in scores and provide score assists where, that leans really well in Supercoach scoring. And he didn't. And he won't get those opportunities every week. So it is, yeah, a lot of red flags, I think, for people hoping that Trent Rivers can really be a top-end midfielder with that move he's made. So fingers crossed he can, it's his first game. Well, not his first game, but like, he's just transitioning to the full-time mid, so hopefully he can build his confidence there. Latrell Pickett, Ty, scored 37 on debut. I thought he looked really electric. Did some nice things, kicked a good goal, and yeah, was nice. I thought he did good things, but it's low score. He's small forward. I wouldn't be looking there. And yeah, Harvey Langford scored 47 as well. For people wanting a breakout year from him, he did the role that he had all preseason, played a bit on the wing, had a couple of contests inside as well, did some stuff. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be making that huge breakout that we would have been hoping from him. From a Saints side of things, Tyce, Max Hall was incredible. Started the season the way he finished last, had 26 touches, kicked 4 goals, scored 141. Is he going to be a top line forward?
He could easily be. He's not got a midfield role or anything like that. He's only had 2 CBAs for the game, but he's just that damaging as a high half forward and gets involved around the contest that, he really provides that nice movement moving forward. So keep an eye on him. He has played opening round, so he's going to go up in price next week. And yeah, he started the year on fire. So definitely a good option if you did somehow start him. Definitely a great draft option. So yeah, I think one that we can look at as maybe a top forward breakout if the fact that we don't get a imposter, I guess, in terms of a midfielder that's spent too much time forward and then they move back to the midfield as soon as they get forward DPP. So that could happen at round 6. And yeah, we might be forced to look into players like Max Hall moving forward. Jack Sinclair, 123, just was really good. The distributor, we know we're going to expect this week in and week out from Sinclair. So just a massive tick for the people that started him. If you didn't start him, you will have to get him at some point throughout the year. Sam Flanders, 104. He was an easy lock in your side. Just has that midfield role on lock. They got him for a reason because he's a genuine midfielder. Just racked up the pill, 28 touches. I did like what I saw there. A lot better than last week, the 77 last week. So yeah, he's a genuine star and going to be a top forward. Windhager, 103, but a lot of talk about him as a option because he went to halfback last week and in the practice game. But this week, 58% CBAs. You alluded to him being a tagger of Cozzy Pickett. Is he now not an option in the fact that he can just do this tagging role?
Yeah, I was really, really tempted off halfback, but I don't want the tag. I don't even want the CBAs. Like I just want the cheap ball off halfback, and it would have been a nice option. Could have got DPP to defense, and that would have made him really, really appealing. But no, you might not get that now, and there's too many question marks. I think there's better options. If you started him, you got 2 tons, so run with that. We know how good he can be in the midfield anyway, so there's still upside there. But yeah, I wouldn't be looking to trade him in with that change of role after 1 week already. So I think there's better options and still an elevated price. I think 440k. So a lot of cash to be spending on that sort of risk. Wang Nasaya scored 88. Got tagged by Tholstrup in the midfield and then went forward, kicked a couple of nice goals. Did a little bit off halfback. Just did what he did last week to try and break the tag. It just seems like he's going to be getting attention everywhere he goes. So yeah, just expect that. He'll have big games when he gets off the leash a little bit, but if that's his floor, you'll definitely take that, and he can pair that with the big games. But for now, we're going to need to see more before we can start to look at him. Or if you started with him, just hope that he can, learn how to break those tags a little bit because it will be needed to string together a few big Supercoach scores. Jax Carroll scored 59, putting together a couple decent scores. Yeah, I don't think he's going to blow anyone away. blow anyone away with his scoring. I think there's still guys that come back. If he can keep his spot and he can score, 50s, 60s, 70s in that halfback role, you'll take it and run with it. And definitely a good, M8, M9, well, not M8, but M9, M10 role for him. So you wouldn't really want to field him, but I think he could be a good burn on the bench. And the last talking point from the Saints task was Philippou, injured with a corked quad, I think it was, scored 27, sort of sat out most of the second half. Alarm bells, because we know his body issues in the past. I'm hoping it's just a corky and he can play next week, but yeah, it is alarming.
Yeah, definitely alarming. But yeah, the 27, look, I'm not worried if he's playing next week, and it's not like he's super expensive that he's going to drop in price. He's just a rookie price. So I really do still favour the Philippou pick. Only had the 43% time on ground, and was in the CBA mix, had attended 15 CBAs, which was pretty much all the first half and the start of the third. Like, obviously 27 SuperCoach isn't great scoring for, 2.5 quarters of footy. But yeah, I'm still pretty sold on the role that we're going to get there. Let's now move to the final game of the round, which has finished Gold Coast versus West Coast, where Gold Coast run away 59-point winners. And as you can see, they topped off the scoring with Christian Petrarca, 152. Geez, he has started the year on fire, hasn't he?
Yeah, to think we were both hot on fading him in the preseason, thinking he wouldn't have this midfield role and it'd take him some time to adjust to the Gold Coast colours. But no, he has got 6 votes in 2 games and he's just dominating. So, and to be able to do that from 23 touches is incredible. He's just effective. We haven't seen this effectiveness from Petrarca in a long time. And just hope he can keep it up. I know it's West Coast, but he was incredible today. Kicked 4 goals. I don't know everyone should be having him. And if you don't have him yet, I'd still find a way to bring him in. I know he's got the bye next week, but it'll be a hard week next week when you don't have him. So he's so good. Same can be said for Noah Anderson-Tice, 132. You target him. I know a lot of people did because of this early run. You captained him because of it, and he's repaid you in spades. He was, again, really good today. 34 touches. Kicked a nice goal in the first quarter as well. He's a star.
Yeah, I have the pleasure of having both Petrarca and Anderson. A lot of people just went for one or the other. If they were not going Petrarca, they were going Anderson. So, I've taken the punt on having both, and I'm definitely going to be hurt in round 3 when they are both on the bye. But I feel like they're just going to make up for the scoring earlier in the year because of their favourable run. Like you see today, 152 from Petrarca, 132 captaincy score from Noah Anderson. They're captainable scores for the next few weeks. They've got Richmond next, then the bye, then Melbourne. So just some great starting games there. So I'm very happy with that. Will Powell is next, scored a 95. Looked really good. Had the midfield role again. Was one of the main CBA's centre bounce attenders. He was actually the midfielder that attended the most centre bounces in this game, with 82% CBAs. So definitely has the role. Another 90 score, and I might have to look at him as a defensive option.
Yeah. He looked good. It's against West Coast, so it's hard to tell if he can keep. And then we also talk about when Rao comes back, does he lose it? I don't know, but he's definitely building into this role. Obviously, he's never done it before in an AFL game. Done a preseason there, and he looks nice. He's a classy footballer. So hopefully, if he continues to build in it and continues to offer them something in that role, we could look at that shortly, which will be after his bye. I think one to target. Leo Lombard scored the 55, pretty much what you want from him. I wouldn't be too upset about that. You probably expect a little bit more in a big win against West Coast, but he's a bench warmer. I wouldn't be trusting him on field at this point. We've got good forward rookies to be having on field, one of which we'll get to in a second. But 55, you'll take that slow burn on the bench. And Zeke Euland, I think now, Tice, play the 2 games. Just the 23 is one you're just going to jump off if you did start him. He got the hands on the footy a little bit last week, but struggled today in a big win. Just the 5 touches, 23 SuperCoach. So, I'd be jumping off now. I don't know. Obviously the SuperCoach isn't open, but his break even would probably be in the positives. And there's a chance to drop some cash next week. So, jump to a Cook, jump to someone else, and get your cash elsewhere. From a West Coast side of things, Tice, we'll touch on the debutant first. Top scorer for them, Murdoch. 110, 22 touches. I think he kicked a goal or two as well. Looked really good. 99k midfielder. Was signed to the list about a week or so ago. Would you just trade him in this week? Do you want to give him another week? Or he seems to be their best player.
Yeah, he looked unreal, didn't he? Just it went at 59% efficiency, which was a little bit concerning, but he had 14 contested possessions. Just was very nice. Had no midfield time. So can he consistently do it in this role? Probably with how he looked today. So he's definitely the mature age guy at 25 years of age. So it's not like he's coming in as a kid. You could easily go on it early. I never like to go early on a rookie, but yeah, the role is the concerning point for me, but he's clearly a classy footballer to produce some big scores. So I'm probably not going there this week. Are you?
No, not this week. Give him another week. It's his first game in the system, so give him one more week. But yeah, one to definitely target at that bargain basement price. Should be helpful moving forward. Devin Robertson was incredible. Should be on everyone's teams and should be on everyone's fields. He's shown that today. At just over 40% CBA. He's got 105. I know Tyson needed 110 to win a matchup, so he'd be quietly kicking himself right now, very upset. But no, big score from Devin Robertson. Anyone who needs 110 to win a matchup probably didn't deserve to win the matchup, Tice. So
That's fair.
we'll take 100. We'll take 105 from him. Then Harley Reid looked okay. Attended 87% TBA, so he got the main midfield role that you're hoping for. Hopefully, if they can be a bit more competitive, maybe at home. I mean, obviously, they had a big trip over. I think it's a 5-hour flight to Gold Coast for a young West Coast side. So at home, can they be a little bit more competitive? Can he be involved a little bit more and push those scores up? But you'll take that. 83 is not too bad for what you're paying for Harley Reid. And then a few rookies for a West Coast side of things to end things off. Tice. Willem Dersma, on debut. Looked nice. Scored 78. Got his hands on the footy a bit. Attended a couple of CBAs. Led some nice tackles. He looks like he'll be a slow burn, but the job security's there and the talent is definitely there as well. Bo Allen, one that we sort of flirted with last year, didn't get a good crack at it, but it started the season well. Scored 71. He's at defensive mid DPP as well. Give him another week, but one we could definitely look at. Had a year in the system. It was a highly rated draft pick when he did get drafted up. So see where he goes next week, but with a nice DPP, could be one we look at. Josh Lindsay, I think he's someone who's in most people's sides. Took a couple of kickouts, which is really nice. Scored 61. He'll build into his AFL career, but to have 16 touches on debut, it's really solid and someone I think you can probably trust on field as well. So I'm happy with him. And if you don't have him, you'll be looking to get him in. If not this week, then next. And then Cooper Duff Tyler Tice, just to finish things off. Obviously, the number 2 draft pick, Ruck Forward, 190k. If you wanted that DPP and the playing player in that Ruck bench position at R3, I wouldn't be too. I mean, you're not going to expect huge scores from him. He'll build on that. He'll have some big games, but he's just an 18-year-old key forward at the end of the day. So don't expect too much.
Yeah, definitely. 10 to 21 ruck contests. He's going to be around the footy at some points, but yeah, like you said, it's his debut game. So very, very, you can temper your expectations a little bit for now. Very slow burn, but a key forward at this state. And we can't go past the West Coast game without mentioning the GOAT. So Ryan Marrick scored a 74. Looked all right. Took a few kickouts, but not an option just yet. He might be one that we can look at if they are going to get pumped every week. So, we'll keep an eye on that moving forward. But that probably wraps up the whole episode here, Das. Nice long one, first review. Round one review is always going to take a bit longer, reviewing every player that is relevant. But thanks for that, Das, and I guess we'll catch you in the next one.
Sounds good, mate. SuperCoach has started. And yeah, I look forward to previewing round 2 with you and one full round, and we're straight into the buys next week, unfortunately. So we'll tackle that and much more during the week. So, and keep an eye on our socials because we'll have posts about players coming your way as well. So if you want some left field options or some of your questions answered, we'll be answering them on our socials. But until then, that was good, Tice, and I'll speak to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Das.
Thanks, mate.